Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Hit Your Numbers. This week we have a back-to-back episode of James talking about storytelling and cold calling. And if you haven't been to the website yet, visit the Learning Hub, go to the download section and check out our new free Proficiency plan download. There's also a helpful video guide to explain the download to you. Right, on with the podcast.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Hit Your Numbers podcast. Today, I'm going to give you like a really tactical way to handle a cold call. I wouldn't say it's an objection, but some resistance at the beginning of the cold call. So I know I do these big, like more formal podcast episodes. I want to start bringing you more regular content. So I'm going to mix that up with some of this more like transactional kind of content on the podcast. So what I'm going to talk about today is, where did you get my number from? So you started the cold call. Hey, Sarah, this is James at the Revenue Enabler. Look, we've never spoken before, but can I just take 30 seconds to explain why I'm calling you today? I promise to be brief. And they go, where did you get my number from? Now, I'm out traveling a lot, meeting sales organizations, doing a lot of my team trainings. And when I'm preparing for those sessions, I ask the sales leadership and the sales team to tell me, what are the top 5 objections or frustrations or challenges they run into when they're making cold calls. And a lot of the time they get this, where did you get my number from? And they really struggle in that area. So, I want to kind of put together something today, which is what I give to them to overcome that. And it's really helping them get around that challenge and have a valuable conversation with their prospect. So just like 3 things you need to think about when you open that cold call from your buyer's side. The problem is a lot of salespeople have never been a buyer. I was a VP of sales a few times, so luckily I got to experience being on both sides, the seller and the buyer. And when that cold call comes through, it's usually not at the best time. You're usually in the middle of something, whatever, right? And there's kind of 3 things that might be going through that person's head. Who are you? What do you want? And how do I get rid of you if it doesn't sound like a valuable conversation? Okay, so who are you? What do you want? And how do I get rid of you? And in most cases, buyers know if they say things like, send me an email, where did you get my number from? Most salespeople are going to struggle with that, and it's going to get rid of you so they can go back to that spreadsheet they're updating for their boss that needs to be sent in the next 60 minutes, for example. Okay, so when someone says, hey, so I say, hey, this is James at Revenue Enabler. Look, being honest, we've never spoken before, but can I take 30 seconds to explain why I'm calling you today? I promise to be brief. And they say, James, where did you get my number from? What I don't want you to say, which is what 99% of sales reps say is, I got it from Lusher, or Zoom Info, or Cognizant, or whatever tool you're using. They literally say, we got it from this tool that we use, a sales tool that we use called Lusher. Like, the buyer doesn't want to hear that you're using a sales tool called Lusher to get their mobile number, especially if it's their personal number. So rather than doing that, because then they're going to be like, well, can you take me off your list, please? And then you're like, yes, no worries. As soon as I come off the call, I'll take off the list. That's all good. While I've got you, and then they're like, their guards up, right? So rather than doing that, what we're finding with teams, and this isn't just like, I had this idea while I was sat in the car, like we're actually seeing sales organizations use this successfully, is just lean into value and push the blame to, say, marketing, for example, okay, or back to the business. So if they say, hey, where did you get my number? Don't say, I got it from Lusher. Say, look, we've just helped Acme reduce their time to hire by 57%. So my marketing organization gave us a list of 50 companies that look just like that business. And you're one of those. And we thought that you'd probably want to hear how we've been able to do that. Would it be okay if I just took 30 seconds of your time to explain how we've been able to reduce time to hire by 57%? The reason that this approach works is because you're anchoring on value. If I'm phoning the VP of talent acquisition, their primary goal is to obviously get bums on seats, and they're trying to do it fast. They're trying to reduce their time to hire. If they can reduce the time to hire, those people are in production mode fast, which means the business has got better chance of hitting its objectives. Same with sales teams, right? We just helped Acme, improve their win rates by 75%. So my marketing team went and found all the other cybersecurity companies that we can help, and you were on that list. Can I take 30 seconds to explain how we're doing it today? Like, we all can anchor on value. We just default to the basics, which is, I got it from this tool, and then you're on the back foot. So moving forwards, when you say, hey, This is James at the Revenue Enabler. Look, we've never spoken before. Can I take 30 seconds to explain why I'm calling you today? I promise to be brief. And they say, James, where did you get my number from? Don't say I got it from a sales tool called Lusher. Instead say, hey, we just helped Acme reduce their time to hire by 57%. So my marketing team went and found 50 companies that do the same thing because we thought you'd want to hear how. Would it be okay if I took 30 seconds to explain how we were able to reduce time to hire by 57%? I promise to be brief, right? If you sound interesting and lead with value, every human being on the planet has 30 seconds. I say this all of the time in my trainings. I may never be able to validate it, but my gut tells me is if I sound interesting, Bill Gates would give me 30 seconds, right? Our job is to cut through the noise and then just deliver a great conversation, right? And that's why the words you say are important. So is your approach, like tonality and pace. They both go hand in hand. People say tone is more important than what you say. I disagree. If the words that come out of your mouth are garbage, doesn't matter how good they sound, you can't polish a turd, right? If you haven't heard that saying before, there you go. Or if you say really good things, but you say them like you're really bored, your boss has got a gun to your head, then it'll also won't come across well. So they're both important, right? It's not one more important than the other one. So yeah, don't fall for that advice that's going around on LinkedIn these days. But yeah, so just lean into value. Be honest. Yeah, marketing gave me a list. The business recommended that we should speak to you. We've been able to have these business outcomes. That's why we're calling you today. Would you be open to learning a little bit more? All right, guys, so that's it for today's episode. If there's anything you want to hear in these upcoming episodes, just drop me a LinkedIn message or WhatsApp or an email, and I'll make sure that we put some content together that's helpful for you in your day-to-day role, either as an SDR, an AE, or a VP of sales or a founder. So we've built the leading skill optimization platform with 400 plus sales lessons, 12 courses from prospecting all the way through to late stage deal negotiation and more, one-to-one sales coaching and AI sales assistance. And I want to give you 7 days free access to the platform. The reason I want to do this is because nobody gets a degree in B2B sales. And after training and coaching hundreds of sales reps and teams in the last 2 years, most haven't mastered critical selling skills, and it's preventing them from being promoted, earning great money, and building a great career in B2B sales. So go to the revenueenabler.com, grab a free trial, and join hundreds of salespeople that are closing their skill gaps and mastering sales. There's a link in the video description. I'm looking forward to getting you set up. Give me a shout with any questions. Today, we've got another solo episode. I'm riding solo on this thing. I wanted to bring you something around storytelling. Now, if you're listening to this on Spotify or Apple Podcast, I'm actually going to be doing a demo today. I'm going to actually be taking you through how you can use ChatGPT to build really compelling customer stories that help you inspire change and win more deals. I highly recommend going over to YouTube and checking out the screen share. I'm going to jump into that in just a second. So definitely recommend doing that. You can listen along, but you'll definitely get a lot more value. I'll be talking things through anyway, but you'll get a lot more value by visualizing this one. So highly recommend going and checking that out. All right, just before I jump into the episode, make sure you give us a like, subscribe, follow, do all of that kind of good stuff. We're investing a lot of time and money into the podcast. We want to keep bringing you really high value content. So if there's something that's top of mind for you, something you're struggling with, either send me an email, james@jamesbissell.com, or shoot me a LinkedIn message. Let me know what topics you want us to be focusing on next. Otherwise, I'm just going to be freestyling based on the work we're doing with sales organizations. And I'd rather you be saying, hey, I'm really struggling with building pipeline or multi-threading or building a business case or qualifying a champion or, accurately forecasting my deals to my boss, whatever it might be. Or maybe you're a sales leader and you're struggling to recruit or onboard, ramp up reps or, execute a forecast or a deal review, whatever it might be. Reach out, I'll bring a special guest on, or I'll just deep dive into my VP playbook and I'll record an episode based on that. Okay, cool. So let's jump into the episode. Today I want to talk about storytelling. I'm big on storytelling. If you're listening to this and you're part of the sales teams that I work with, you notice there's always something about storytelling we talk about. If it's cold calling, discovery, demo, whatever it might be. Okay, stories are critical. You scroll through the LinkedIn news feed, you will just not see anything about storytelling. Like you'll see all of these gurus that talk about cold calling, yet none of them ever talk about storytelling. Why? I don't know. Go ask them. But the reality is, like, when you think about a cold call, a discovery meeting, a sales process, our job in sales is to sell change. We are trying to get our prospect to change the way they do things. In most cases, they are getting the job done without us. So if we want to get them to change, we need to inspire them. We need to build confidence. We need to demonstrate that we've got evidence. We've done this before. They should take the risk because it's an educated risk. It feels like a safe bet. Feels like this thing's going to work out, and we need to build confidence by doing that. Okay. And storytelling for me is the best way to do it. It's the best way to talk about yourself. It's the best way to articulate how you solve business problems, what your product or your service does, and the outcomes that it delivers. So I'm actually going to give you a chat GPT right now that you can implement and start using today. Okay. So head over to the revenueenabler.com. There'll be a link in the video description, the podcast description below. When you come to the website, so for example, if you land on the homepage here, head over to the Learning Hub, go to free downloads, and then scroll down, and you're looking for the Story Builder. Okay. While you're there, feel free to check out some of the other resources, right? But this Story Builder, just pop in your details, and it'll email you over a link. You'll also go into our newsletter then. Thousands of sales reps and sales leaders get it every single week, where I share a lot of this kind of stuff, but in the private newsletter. And then when you go there, you'll open it up and it'll look a little bit like this. Okay. It'll say Story Builder, and it'll have this button here that says, let's get started. Okay. Now, all you do is you click, let's get started. Now, the reason that I recommend using my GPT is because in the back end of this custom GPT, I've put in pages and pages and pages of what really good stories look like, what winning frameworks look like, what frameworks I used to teach my teams, now what frameworks I use when I'm working with sales organizations or when I've got an SDR or an AE that pays for coaching with me. These are the frameworks that I use, okay? So I'd highly recommend using this custom GPT. By the way, if you're listening to this, feel free to share this with your team. Like if you're a sales leader, give them access to the podcast or give them access to this custom GPT. Feel free to share this with all of your colleagues. But basically, like people sit there for ages trying to figure out how do I like talk about this product, how do I talk about this customer, etc., etc. This custom GPT is going to do it all for you. So first things first, go get access to the custom GPT. Second thing, I want you to follow my workflow here. So it's asking me, hey, great, please can you share the URL to the case study you'd like to use in the customer story? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to my website. We've head over to testimonials. We've got this case studies page here. We've done some fantastic work with one of our customers, Step2. Great metrics. I want to be able to tell that story when I'm speaking to other sales leaders, right? To build confidence that we're the right training partner. We know what we're doing. We've got experience. We've got evidence of solving big business problems in the sales organization and driving positive outcomes. So what you do is you just grab the URL, head over to the chat GPT, and inside of the bar here, I'm just going to enter that URL. And then as you're watching this in 10 seconds, it's reading that page. It's looking at all of the context I've put into the back end of my custom GPT, and it's now writing me that story. Okay. Now the framework is really, really simple. By the way, when I'm coaching reps, they're like, hey, do you know what? I want to tell more stories, but I've got two problems. One, I don't really know how to write them. And two, I don't really know how to start telling them. And I kind of get that last part because it does feel kind of awkward unless you have a story starter. And that first line here, which you can see on the screen, which is in bold, I call this a story starter. So when I'm in discovery or when I'm on a cold call and I want to shift gears and start to build some confidence and talk about how we solve the problem, I want to have a transition. And a really nice way of doing that is by saying something like, look, Sarah, really thanks for that context. Do you know what? This conversation really reminds me of one of my customers, ... So you can use that sentence to transition into a story to make it feel conversational. So this conversation really reminds me of Step2. Okay, their sales team, their leadership was on a mission to scale success. So I wouldn't copy paste this, but what it's doing is it's using the framework, and then I'm going to just fine tune it and tweak it. Right. So what it says here, I'll read it out for people that are listening to the podcast. It says this conversation reminds me of one of our customers, Step2. Their sales leadership was on a mission to scale success. Even though the team was already performing well, they knew they could close more complex deals more consistently. Step2 faced a challenge with inconsistent sales execution across key stages like discovery, qualification, and closing, and their leaders simply didn't have the internal bandwidth to deliver structured coaching at scale. We helped by running a tailored enablement program that started with detailed analysis of performance data and skill gaps, then delivered bespoke training, cohort-based workshops, ongoing coaching, and access to 400 structured lessons in the Sales University platform. The results were rapid and measurable. Win rates are up 75%, average deal size grew 31%, revenue per AE rose 64%, and sales reps retention jumped 122%. Plus, one new account executive lifted their win rate from 4% to 31%, which resulted in a 675% improvement. Does that sound like a solution for your business, et cetera, right? I don't like that last question, but that's where I'd probably tweak it. Now, there's a couple of tweaks I would make to this just to make it flow a bit better, but like within 10, 15 seconds, it's done all of the hard work for me, right? I would take out some of the words, swap some things out, but that's the first pass. And that's the power of ChatGPT, guys, is if you build custom GPTs and you put context into the back end, what does good look like? If you do a really good job of that, when you actually need to use it, it can get you 80, maybe 90% of the way there. You just need to like tweak that last little bit and you can just increase the quality of that execution piece there. So highly recommend you go and check this out. I've got like maybe 20, 30 of these custom GPTs inside the Sales University. So if you want to learn anything more about those, shoot me an email, james@jamesbissell.com, or drop me a DM on LinkedIn, or if you head over to the website, if you're still watching the screen share, head over to the website, go to the website here, therevenueenabler.com, click on the bit that says 4 reps, and you'll see the Sales University, loads of feedback from customers, and then you get this breakdown of what's included: 400 lessons, one-to-one coaching, group coaching, content vault, James GPT, which is my AI tool stack, loads of other capabilities. So yeah, if you want to learn anything more about that, head over to the website, drop me a message. But for now, I'll leave you to it. Hope you go and test this out. Give me some feedback on the custom GPT. Let me know what you think. I do genuinely look at all of my LinkedIn messages and read all of my emails and reply to them all. So I'd love to hear your feedback. What did you think about the story builder? Did it help you close the gap? Did you have to make loads of changes? Give me some feedback so I can make it even better for you guys. Otherwise, have a great day and I'll see you on another episode of the Hit Your Numbers podcast soon. All right, thanks for listening to this episode. I've got something else I want to give you before we wrap up here. So we've built the leading skill optimization platform with 400 plus sales lessons, 12 courses from prospecting all the way through to late stage deal negotiation and more, one-to-one sales coaching and AI sales assistance. And I want to give you 7 days free access to the platform. The reason I want to do this is because nobody gets a degree in B2B sales. And after training and coaching hundreds of sales reps and teams in the last 2 years, most haven't mastered critical selling skills. And it's preventing them from being promoted, earning great money, and building a great career in B2B sales. So go to therevenueenabler.com, grab a free trial, and join hundreds of salespeople that are closing their skill gaps and mastering sales. There's a link in the video description. I'm looking forward to getting you set up. Give me a shout with any questions.